Hi, I'm Carlos K. Aguilar Jr. and you can call me Pido. Let's get abundant. Let's get abundant is all about finding blessing, receiving blessing, and passing on blessing. And in each episode, we learn one word to make all of this come true. Our word for today, orbit. Orbit. You have three orbits: small, medium, large. Your orbit is your circle, and in each circle, you affect all the people in it. So how do you rotate? How do you revolve? You have to be aware of your orbit. You have to be aware of the energy of your orbit. You have to be aware of the impact of your orbit. Who or what keep you in orbit? Who or what pull you out of orbit? Let's get abundant. Orbit. Are you in orbit or out of orbit? You must manage, maintain, and stay in your proper orbit because your orbit also affects other orbits. Let's get abundant. Look, orbit. Who or what are in your orbit? Of course, family, friends, loved ones, it gets larger. Workmates, colleagues, clients, it gets even larger. Your community, your church, your state or province, in short, everyone in your orbit you affect. Let's get abundant. Orbit. Are you in orbit or are you out of orbit? Be aware of your energy of orbit. Be aware of your impact of orbit. Now, what are in your orbit? Everything that comes from you inhabits your orbit. Your thoughts, words, feelings, actions, it gets larger. Your comments, your reactions, your suggestions, it gets even larger. Your social media posts, chats, videos, in short, everything in your orbit comes from you. How do you rotate? How do you revolve? Let's get abundant. Orbit. Know the energy of your orbit. Know the impact of your orbit because your orbit can affect other orbits. When you stay in orbit, it's easier to find blessing because as you rotate and you revolve, your enlarged view helps you spot more good things. When you stay in orbit, it's easier to receive blessing because every person in your orbit is a potential giving of blessings to you. When you are in orbit, it's easier to pass on blessing because as you go around your orbit, sooner or later, it brings you to a place where you are nearer people whom you can bless. Let's get abundant. Orbit. Be aware of your orbit. Be aware of the energy of your orbit. Be aware of the impact of your orbit because your orbit affects other orbits and your orbit affects everyone in it. Let's get abundant. Orbit. Let's get abundant. Orbit. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get abundant. Orbit.